Hey guys, it's Little Black Belt here again today with another C++ for Beginners tutorial. Now in my first tutorial I promised that we would take a look at ASCII values and the char type, short for character. And so that's what we're going to be doing today, and if all goes well then this is going to be a relatively short video compared to a couple of the other ones. So first up I need to bring up this tab here in Chrome where I have the ASCII chart. Now I'll explain to you just briefly, character types in C++ hold numbers. So you can give it a character, but what's really happening in there is it's holding the number to the corresponding character. And this chart here, I hope it's not too blurry. I zoomed in on Chrome so it would be hopefully easier for you guys to see. Correspond to these number values, and they hold values between 0 here, as you can see, to 255. So the number range that they can hold is much smaller than an integer, but it is sort of like an integer in the fact that it does hold a number. And these are all whole numbers. So basically what happens is when you put the single quotes, as I did on the character from the one of the previous videos, I made it print out the character P. It's really storing this number. So if we look over here to the lowercase p, here it is. It's really storing number 112. You can see right here. This is the decimal number that we would type. And I can show this to you here if I pull up Notepad++. And I've zoomed in on here to make it hopefully a little easier to read. So I'm going to go to Language, C, C++, and just set up. I should have probably done this ahead of time, but if you guys are following along and creating these programs along with me, then this is going to be just more practice for you guys to set up the basic template that we use for most of our programs here. Again, this is a very basic outline for a lot of beginner programs you'll be using. So anyway, let's just create a character type and call it, we'll call it A. Okay. This is the variable name. It's not holding the character A. And if we give it P, if we wanted to give it P, we could just type single quote P like that, and of course it would print out P. These single quotes indicate that it's a character, and what's really happening, that's not even how you write that, I'm sorry. We gotta actually give it the value P. What's actually happening is it's storing that number. So if we C out, it will say P, but just to prove it to you, if I say char B, and I believe the number was 112, but let me check again. P, yes, 112. And we'll give it the number 112, and let's C out A, and then C out B. Okay, the first one is going to be A, which we gave P in single quotes, and the second one is going to be B, which we gave it the numerical value corresponding to P. So if we press F6 to compile this bad boy, press OK, it's going to ask us to save the file. We'll save it in a desktop under new.cpp to make sure it saves as a CPP file. Check down here, we got no errors. So now if we open up command prompt and we go to our desktop here, and I believe it's called new, there we go. It prints out P and P. Now these are different representations, but in the end it prints out the same thing. And so we could actually do something like this. If we made this P and, well, we'll make it a capital H. Capitals hold different ASCII values than their corresponding lowercase letters. As you can see, a capital H here is number 72, while a lowercase h is 104. So they do hold different values, the capitals and the lowercases, which is good. It's good to differentiate between those two. If we want to make it say hi, we have a lowercase I at 105. So if we go back here and change this to 105, and then if we edit this so that it prints them on the same line, and we recompile, and now if we go to new, it says hi on the same line. And later we will learn a more efficient way of writing things like this using what's called strings in C++, or the C version of string, which is simply an array of these characters. So it's basically a compilation of individual characters, and a string is essentially the same thing, but C does not have string included, and string is an actual type in C++ that we have access to, and it's very useful because it's much easier to use than a C-style string, simply an array of characters. But so yeah, this is just very simple, and I'll show you one more cool thing you can do with these. There's actually an extended ASCII chart here with certain characters. Some of these characters, I think they're keyboard shortcut things that you can do to print these, you know. I don't know them all off the top of my head, but say we wanted to print the square root symbol. Its corresponding number is 251. Sorry, wrong thing. So let's just take char b out of here, and we'll give it 251. There we go. So now it should print out that square root symbol, which is interesting because, you know, you can't just like type it like that, you know. We go to new, and there we go, square root symbol. So that's pretty cool, right? I mean, it's interesting. There's a lot of these values for you to experiment with, and they do come in useful later on, as you'll see a lot with error handling and stuff like that. You can check whether somebody typed alphabetical, like a word, or whether they typed numbers. And so if you're looking for the user to input a number, right, then you can check to see if the ASCII values are within this range, and if they're not, then you can return false. So that's very simple, but we'll get into that kind of stuff later in later tutorials. But I just wanted to give you a brief explanation, a little bit further into the char type, because we were more focusing on addition and subtraction, and actually I should show you that too. If you can use addition and subtraction in these chars. So let's say you wanted to make something lowercase, right? So let's give this char, well, let's pick an uppercase letter. Let's see, we'll pick G. We want to say we got this G, 71, and the other G, 103. Okay. Actually, let's pick an even number. We'll do capital P and lowercase p. So 80. The difference, so we got capital P, 80. Let's change that in Notepad++. Sorry, I probably just confused the hell out of you, but gets, well, we can either say 80, or we can say capital P. I'll just say capital P. There we go. I think you guys get the fact that there's corresponding numbers now. And now we want to change it to a lowercase p. Well, if we look at the difference between the lowercase p and the uppercase p, the lowercase p has a greater ASCII value by 32, right? So this is 32 numbers greater than 80. So if we want to change this capital P to a lowercase p, we can simply add 32 to the code. And I know that sounds weird because you'd think uppercase, it would have a higher decimal number, but that is not correct. It's just not how that works. So if we want to make this lowercase, we're going to be adding 32 numbers. And so we can say A gets A plus 32, or as I showed you last time with this compound operators, we can say A plus equals 32, put a space in between them. And now if we see out A, it should be the lowercase representation of P. There we go, it compiled. There we go, lowercase p, right? And I can make it a little bit easier to see if I see out A before I make the change. So this cout should print an uppercase P, a capital P, and then we add 32 to it, and then this one should print out a lowercase p. Okay, we got capital P, lowercase p. I hope you guys can see that, because I don't think I can really, yeah, I can't increase the text size in there, at least I don't know how to, but anyway, so you can actually add and subtract and change the what it prints out, the character that it prints out, just by adding and subtracting numbers. So that's pretty interesting. I thought that was pretty cool when I was first learning this kind of stuff. So, but that's going to be all for today's tutorial. Nice and short. If you guys have any questions, hit me up in the comment section. I hope you're following along and having a great time, and we will be back with more tutorials later. So next time we will probably, well, I don't know what I'm going to do next time, but we'll see. So no promises. This should be the 4th installment of the tutorial series, if I upload it in the order that I'm planning, but no promises. So anyway, this is just a little bit more in-depth look of characters and how those work, because they're a little strange compared to integers, but hopefully it's all making sense to you. So I'm going to get back to you next time. Have a great day, and this is Little Black Belt out.